I think we're good. Let me post this link over to here really quick. Give a few minutes for people to scroll in. Boom. All right. Today, I'm going to talk about sitting. If you end up joining in on the live, leave a comment in the comment section. Watching live, let me know where you're from. Love hearing from where everyone is at. I just think it's so cool to get a chance to chat with people all around the globe. If you're watching the replay, let me know you're watching the replay. Still, let me know where you're from. Want to hear about it. Today, we're talking about this idea and this mantra that is being said a lot, and it's smoke or sitting is the new smoking. It's kind of, hopefully you can hear me. I don't have my AirPods or plugged into this phone, so hopefully you can hear me good. Sitting is the new smoking, and I think it's way overused. I think it's not that great of information being shared. I think that you can sit and still beat back pain. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to get up every 15 minutes to walk around. You don't have to buy that $1,000 desk that your boss or whoever swears by that's gonna help you with your low back pain. You don't have to do any of that. You can keep sitting and you can overcome chronic back pain. I wanna talk to you about that here today. Now, I'm gonna give you kind of like three major points when it comes to sitting and back pain. And I think, again, it's for some reason now we're being told that we have to sit less, we have to stand more, we have to, be more active, which is always very important. And I think there's a difference between people who are just very unhealthy, and yes, they're already sitting. They don't necessarily have to sit all day at work, but they go home and they sit and they're not active, they're not healthy. But that's kind of always been an issue. That's not necessarily a new thing. People being inactive is not a new thing. So on the case of just being healthy and how sitting in sedentary lives causes issues, we're gonna put that aside and we're gonna look at sitting as the cause of back pain, right? So if you're watching this, you are post-surgery, you are chronic back pain, herniation, bulge, sciatica, all the things. If you have that experience and you sit and sitting causes you back pain, we're going to talk about that here today. And if you have any questions, I'm not sure if the chat is on. If you have any questions, boom, I think the chat's on now. Then post them below. After this is all over, we will hopefully get into some Q&A. If not, then we'll just go about our merry days, okay? So point number one, when it comes to addressing this sitting is a new smoking, is we have to address the psychology of being told that. Again, if you are a longtime viewer of me, if you are you're brand new to this, there's three elements that I focus on: smarter strength, better movement, and understanding pain, or desensitizing your pain system. And a part of that desensitization that addresses all of the other 2 points is understanding and the psychology of pain and what we are being told and the story that we're being told and the narrative that we're building inside of us about our back injury, herniation, bulge, post-fusion, ruptured disc. Like, if you don't know who I am, I own fitnessforbackpain.com. I ruptured my L5-S1 disc in, I'd say when I was 21. I'm 35 now. Was supposed to have a fusion, supposed to have all these shots and all this stuff. Long story short, didn't have any of that. And I've held multiple jobs in chronic pain when it comes to, I was a healthcare recruiter for a very short period of time where I sat, I would say 9-10 hours a day, if not more, because I just grinded in that job. And I love the job, but I sat a lot. And I did that job both in pain as well as out of pain. I ran 24-hour gyms, multiple gyms, in the car, traveling around, running studios, and sitting in traffic, lots of traffic, commuting an hour to work, an hour from work after sitting 10 hours a day. So I'm not coming to you from a place of like, I get to stand up all day and like move around and like do all these, free things when it comes to like movement and like, getting myself out of painful situations. Like I've had to do this in painful situations, in jobs that I was stuck at doing, because I got to pay my bills. I got to pay for, pay for rent or my mortgage or pay for my kids to eat, groceries. Like there's things you have to do, and you can't just quit your job because you sit a lot at work, and because due to you sitting a lot at work, you have back pain. Therefore, like, what do you do, right? So the psychology of being told this is simple. Sitting is not the new smoking. Sitting is not equivalent to smoking, right? You sitting is not the cause of your back pain. Sitting can be a trigger for your back pain, which are very two different things. Okay, so if you're like, oh, I've got a disc herniation, I got a disc bulge, it hurts when I sit. When I sit, my pain gets worse. That is very real. That's very true. And that's a matter of fact, and that's not wrong. But you have to be careful what you're telling yourself with that information. Like, just because you're sitting or just because you have to sit does not necessarily mean that your back is going to hurt, right? That might be your reality right now, but we're going to talk about some strategies you can kind of look at to make that not a reality. But you have to check that mentality of like, oh my gosh, like I sit all day and like, oh, I'm a toll booth operator, I'm a full desk recruiter, I'm a salesman who travels on airplanes all day, sits in meetings, whatever you might do. I'm a teacher who stands all day. Okay, I talk with a lot of teachers, a lot of people who are on their feet all day and their backs hurt. So they would love to trade a job where they can sit more. And that healthcare recruiter would love to trade a job where like you can walk around a classroom. Like everyone's situation is very dynamic and unique. And in a different light, you might be able to wish that you could switch, because if I could sit more or stand more, I would feel better. And that's not necessarily the case. So just because you have a job that requires sitting, just because you have a job that requires standing, does not mean that you are doomed. So don't get that out of your mind. Like you driving to work, sitting in traffic, and like mentally like being like, oh my gosh, like I have to sit in this office all day. I know within 45 minutes, my back's gonna hurt. So we are survivalists. The human race are survivalists. We do whatever we have to do to survive. And that might be loading up on pillowcase or pillows in the back and lumbar supports and super expensive chairs and, standing desks and, whatever, quitting your job and figuring some other kind of job out. And it's just not necessarily the case. So the psychology part, check it. Get it in check, because you are not doomed. It is not the end of the world just because you sit. Don't quit your job yet. Let's look at some other options. The second thing is, let's talk about short-term solutions, right? There's a difference between short-term relief and long-term relief. Let me know in the comment section, if you are very familiar with the short-term strategy. Think of all the things that you do that bring comfort in the moment. If that's you, if you know that you have a toolbox, a list of short-term strategies that help you, let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to get bonus points, share what those short-term strategies are. If you sit at your job, you sit at wherever you go, and you have back pain when sitting, and you have strategies that you follow, let me know in the comment section. Short-term strategies have to be looked at simply as a mental break, right? Because I am always considering the psychology, the mental aspect of pain and what it does to you, and life and stress and circumstances, and you can't not look at that. So in the moment, when when the pain is higher, you have to resort to something, right? And you're not just gonna keep sitting, or you shouldn't just keep sitting, because you have to break that, I guess, think of it as like ruts in the road. You ever gone four-wheeling before? You're on the four-wheeler, you're in your truck, maybe not, this might be just me, and you're just ripping into this mud hole, and you got two ruts. Or you drive the same road in your driveway, that's grass, and you beat down those ruts. Where your tires go is consistent, and you do it the exact same way every single time. When it comes to back pain, when it comes to sitting, when it comes to short-term relief in the moment of back pain, you have to find ways to derail yourself and get off of the ruts that you're in, those paths that are very clear, that are very like broken down or beat down. You've got to get off of those ruts and change. There's a term that I use for it, almost like a mental break or a mental stop and shift. I can't think of the word that I used to use for it. Oh man, it's gonna bother me. Not a distraction, but anyway, so you have to get off of that beaten down path, and the beaten down path can be a short-term relief. So what does that mean? That could mean sitting back in your chair, right? You have a chair, instead of trying to like maintain this like super strict, super, duper posture, and your elbows are pulled back and everything's super tight and your core's braced, and you're sitting here trying to answer phones and take calls with this. Like, that's not necessarily the case. Sit back in your chair and relax. Find what relaxing is in your chair. Is it shifting chairs? Is it getting a ball and sitting on a ball? Is it using the armrests in your office chair? Is it bringing everything up, bringing things down? Like getting yourself to be able to sit back and completely relax in your chair and breathe, right? Breathe into your body. Get the stress out of your shoulders, get the tension out of your low back, because odds are what you're doing right now at work, in your desk, sitting, is you're protecting. You're like, oh gosh, here comes the pain. Like, there it is. Like, every time I move, every time I bend over, I gotta try this. And like you're protecting, your body starts protecting itself. You gotta get away from that mentality, away from that strategy of protecting, and utilize these short-term interruptions. There you go, mental interruptions. That's where I was looking for. So that can be anything. It can be getting up and walking around. It could be shifting or changing to a standing desk. And I saw a comment about standing desks that I'm gonna comment back to as well. It's a good point made there. It could be shifting to a standing desk. It could be shifting to a short walk. You could be going and getting your water bottle filled up, or whatever you do. That's a short-term relief strategy. The problem is people use that as a long-term relief strategy, and it's not. Short-term and long-term are very two different things. Short-term, we need them to get that mental break, that pattern. There it is. The pattern interruption. The pattern interruption is fear, anxiety, pain. Oh my gosh, I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. I'm sitting now. My day is doomed. Pattern interruption is those short-term things. We all have a list of them. We all do them. Use them. They're not a bad thing. What you can't do is rely on them to get long-term relief. Okay? So, third point, final point. And if you have any questions, again, if you've got something in your brain you want to say, comment on, question mark, whatever, leave it in the comment section and we will address it. Long-term solutions. Long-term solutions to pain when sitting. It is not going to be buying a standing desk. Although, yes, standing more, if you sit all day, it is great to get home and go for a walk, right? It is okay to be at work and stand up. It is okay to convert. I did this for a period of my time as a healthcare recruiter. Get up from my desk. I had boxes. I was a weird kid in the bull room. You call them bull rooms. And bull rooms is basically when you got a bunch of people recruiting for people. And that's, if you've ever been a healthcare recruiter or done any kind of recruiting or sat in an HR office and you knew the recruiter there, it's, you sit at a desk all day and you call. That's what you do. And you have conversations with people. I would build my desk, put boxes and stack things to have a standing desk. That was a short-term type of strategy. But it's not always the best thing for long-term. So the first thing you have to really think about and focus on when it comes to long-term relief is building resilience in your body, right? Right now, it hurts to sit more than 30 minutes at your desk. That is okay. That makes total sense, and you can overcome that. But you have to build resilience in your body to be able to withstand that 30 minutes, that 45 minutes, that hour, 2 hours, right? I've been in a situation, I've been in a season where I would sit in pain for 8+ hours a day. Then I've been in seasons, and I guess it's a season now, but I sit now for hours, and I sat in back then for hours without chronic pain. So I wasn't fused. I don't have any kind of pain management schedule or shots or anything like that. So how do I do it? Like, what is my secret to be able to sit now with a ruptured disc, with degenerative discs above that site, diagnosed? Like, how do I do that? And it has been because of building resilience in my body, being able to get this in check, the mental game, because there is a game, you got to play it, okay? Getting this in check, but then building strength, not just general CrossFit strength or boot camp strength or high intensity strength or bigger biceps or stronger leg strength. It's overall body resilience. And that comes in the form of activity. It does not have to be that you're some bloke in the gym just trying to get yoked. Like, if that's your goal, to get yoked in the gym, that's completely different. If you don't want that, if you want to just get out of pain, start building strength. Join a program, get into a program, follow exercises, whatever it is, that promote strength training for the sensitive back, because there is a difference. You can't just, I don't tell people to go build strength and, oh, what are the best exercises? Well, if you go to the fitness standards, it's squats, deadlifts. Those are the best exercises for building strength, but it's not necessarily that great for people who have persistent back pain or who are post surgery. So you have to build smarter strength. You have to pick exercises that fit you and execute them in a way that promotes a stronger, safer environment for your body to heal and build resilience. Right? One of those false beliefs, and this is a whole nother video in itself, is building a strong low back. I gotta build just a beefy, thick, strong. If you want a beefy, thick low back, leave a comment in the comment section. I got some great exercises that you can do to build just a thick, fat, low back, just bulging with muscles. If that's not your goal, it's totally fine. Let me know in the comment section if that is not your goal. But we have this idea of like, oh, we have to like directly train the low back to build strength because my low back hurts. William says because these tissues are weak and like they're less resilient, I have to build strength in them to become more resilient. So therefore I have to do like good mornings, and I have to do like back extensions, and I have to do like, glute ham develops. Like, you don't have to do that. No, like you don't have to train the low back directly to build resilience in the low back. Right? I'm not gonna get into like anatomy and like muscles and how they innervate different joints and all that stuff. That's another video. General activity, and that could be getting back on your skateboard. It could be getting back on your surfboard. It could be getting back on the trail. It could be getting back on your horse, literally and not literally. When it comes to getting back into your body being moved, but in a less threatening, less dangerous, fearful way. And again, the easiest way is to start exercising, right? Go into a gym and start building strength. That's one of the number one thing. And that's going to lead to more resilience. It's going to lead to reversing the herniation, reversing bulges, reversing the pain that is coming with post-surgery or a sedentary lifestyle due to inactivity and a lack of resilience. Right? So it's through this strength, and this is like, it's hard for people to like, because I'll get messages and comments where they're just like, hey, I have a ruptured disc, a herniated disc, I have, L5S1 or whatever your disc might be, and it hurts when I sit, what should I do? And I'm like, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm gonna give you some stretches. You think I'm gonna give you some, like 2 exercises to build your glutes up. But if you're sitting on your glutes, having them stronger while sitting isn't gonna give you, think about it, it's not gonna give you the solution. So how big your butt muscles are when sitting doesn't matter when it comes to the pain you're experiencing, right? How big your back muscles are doesn't matter. So it has to do with your pain system, desensitizing it, cutting out the fear, building a different narrative of what you believe, and then building resilience in the tissues and building strength. So we keep kind of going around the same circle. Is in order for you to get to the point where you can sit with a disc herniation, you have to do what's necessary to help reverse the effects of the herniation or of the bulge, or if possible, ruptures. I'm very blessed to where my rupture, it wasn't a rupture where like, boom, it splattered all over my spinal nerve or all over my nerve, and I just lost feeling. It wasn't that dramatic. So if you're thinking like, whoa, he ruptured his disc, like I didn't have a tree fall on me and my just pancaked my disc. It wasn't like that. I don't know how it all happened, but I know it was a ruptured disc. So if I want to build stability around my spine, stability in what is now degenerative or what is now ruptured and not there anymore, like I have to think along the terms of what can I control? I can control what I say to myself, what I believe, genuinely to believe in my body, that I'm not broken, that I'm not doomed because I have a rupture. And then also take responsibility for the long-term strategy. The long-term strategy is improving your movements outside of sitting, at work, depending on what your job is, you know, understanding your pain triggers so that while, I guess I'm like blinking and I keep making my eye worse. So sorry if I started like rapid blinking at you. I got a little piece of fuzz in my eye. Where was I at? Better movements, inside, outside of work, at the gym, because ultimately, like, there's things that we do every single day, and it could be, and everyone's individual's different. Like, you going and waking up and going to see your chiropractor first thing in the morning could literally be why you are in pain for the rest of the day and throughout the entire week at work. Like, think about that. Think about, like, you waking up and trying your best to get a workout in first thing in the morning, because William said working out is important. And I'm training my core first, which is super important. And then I'm working out because I have to work out before I go to work. You working out at 5 a.m. literally might be the sole reason why you go to work, and eventually the endorphins from your exercise or your workout wears off, and you had this low-grade, unpredictable sensitivity throughout the entire day. Like, that might be why. That could be. It's a strong reason why you hurt with a herniation, with a bulge, with a post-surgery situation, years after your surgery, while you're at work. So you have to think about this stuff and like really dive in. And this is what I get to do with clients all the time. Like, and it's fun because it's like a mystery type of thing. You're talking and you're diving into like, okay, what do you do? What's your habits? What's your routine? What is this? What is that? What is that? You ask these questions, you dig it out, you have these aha moments, and then you move forward. Right? With strategy, with like step-by-step strategy to get out of it. And it's hope. That's what it is. It's hope. Looking at this fearful situation and having hope that you can actually sit again one day and not be in pain. Improving your movements, building smarter strength, which is in turn, if you do it correctly and you trim the fat and the BS of all the things that don't work, it's going to desensitize your pain system. Which means, and we're going to end here, which means while you are at work, sitting at your desk with a less sensitive pain system, with a less fearful approach to your life and your desk and your job, you will be able to sit longer. Trust me when I say that. You will be able to sit longer. You can do that. You can sit longer with your current situation. Again, every path is different. Every journey is different. Every situation where I'm in pain, I have this diagnosis, doesn't matter what your diagnosis is, but I have this diagnosis, this level of severity. I respect all that. I respect herniations and bulges and fusions and different levels of fusions. All that has to be respected. And back pain is individual. Trust me, it's very individual. But with that, on that same note, you can still find a place of relief, a place of healing that you have never imagined. I truly, genuinely, in my heart, believe that for you. whoever's watching this, whether it's now or during the replay, I genuinely believe that where you are at right now does not have to be your forever. And there's people, and it breaks my heart, there's people who literally cry themselves to sleep, grown adults, because they have to wake up the next day and face their pain and face their job that they hate or face the job that they love or whatever, not show up for their kids because their pain is so bad. Like, fill in the blank. Everyone has different situations, and it's not just becoming pain-free so you can sit more is not your goal. I know in the short term, it's like, man, I'd love to be able to sit at my job because I love it or I hate it and be able to still sit longer than 30 minutes. Give me an hour before pain and I'm good. There's people who would like that, but like, go deeper than that, right? Go deeper. Take your kids to that football game that you've been wanting to go to. You know, go on that horseback riding trip that you wanted to go on. Go on that hiking camp trip you want to go on. Go sit in a kayak and go paddle down your favorite creek again. Like, that's what you want. You don't want to sit at your desk more better with less pain. Sure, that's a short-term goal, but I want you to get back to the things that you want to do, like what your heart wants to do, like what gives you spark and like that feeling of just like purpose in life. And pain will hold you back 1,000%. So that's it. Let's look at some comments. Beware standing desks. I've been using one for 10 plus years, staying 9% of the time. This has led to hip imbalances, which, oh, don't go away. What happened? Why can't I read the comments? Side point. Yes, sitting all day or standing all day can be just as bad. Like, you start overcompensating, you go into this weird extension. Trust me, I've sat. When I was running gyms, why can't I just keep the comments on? Top chat, live chat. When I ran gyms, I built a standing desk and I stood all day. And trust me, I've got flat feet, and standing all day was not good for me. It was not good for me at all. So a short-term relief I use is to squat and hang my head in order to stretch everything. That's good. That's a great short-term strategy. I will say one thing about all things stretching and all things like into flexion, anything that stretches what is irritated will feel better in the short term, okay? And if there was one short-term strategy that I would always encourage people to not do that much of is stretching, because stretching, it feels good for the short term, but it actually increases pain. It could increase your pain on the back end of that. And that's where we're like, we gotta look at stretching. Not that it's bad necessarily, but just keep that in mind. Like, okay, like I'm stretching, I'm doing this thing, but what happens 30 minutes from now? That's what you gotta kind of ask yourself. Think of more of like short term as in like going for a walk, getting up and having that shift in thinking. I had another one come to my head. I can't remember it now. 10 months removed from L4, L5 micro discectomy and still very weak in legs, back, etc. It took after six months, I could start doing stretching, strengthening. Yeah, your body, Travis, everything heals differently. My brother just had a discectomy himself, and I want to say he's a couple months past that, and he is doing better. I mean, he's not back to work by any means. So I know, and what I hear surgeons say all the time when people ask, well, how long am I going to take to get back to normal? And they're like, honestly, we won't know until we get in there. Then they get in there and they find they had to do more work on you. And if you ever want to find crazy, if you ever like researched what a discectomy is, or a micro discectomy or a laminectomy, like Google that stuff, like YouTube discectomy. And there's doctors who have recorded the procedure of a discectomy. It's a lot. Like, dude, you're getting like stuff like grinded down, like holes. My brother had to get a hole drilled into his vertebrae. Herniation, here's the spine, facet joints. The facet joints are facing you, so facet joints off of his vertebrae. I think, I'm not a doctor or a surgeon, but from my understanding, they had to drill through the side of a facet joint of something to expose the, not the facet joint, but it's like it's the neck of the facet or something like that. It's called something. Oh, my anatomy's losing. I'm losing my anatomy. But they drill through the bone to expose the herniation and then snip and pull the disc through the hole. It's crazy. It's crazy. So give your body a chance. Just again, make sure that you're not doing anything that's going to cause more issues. Thanks for the vids. You're welcome. Hi, I made it. I have a lot of lower back pain. Need to find exercises to help it. I do 5 miles of walking a day. Do you pronounce your name Portia? Portia Snyder. That's a sweet way of spelling, if I'm pronouncing it right. Portia. A lot of lower back pain. Need to find exercises to help it. So again, this kind of goes back to, I don't want to hit cancel on the video. We'll finish up here. This is a long polo. I Marco Polo a lot as well with my family. This is not a long polo. This is a live stream. Exercises strategically for it. It's not going to be something that's like, oh, what are the best exercises for back pain? Like, never YouTube that or Google that. Never YouTube, what are the best stretches for back pain? Enter. What are the best exercises for back pain? I know, trust me, I understand you're like, William, that's messed up you're saying that, because that's how we find answers to things. I totally get it. This is why I created Fitness for Back Pain, because you'll never find on my blog where I say the best 7 stretches for back pain, the best exercise for all of back pain. It's not like that. So you have to look at the 3 things that I've talked about in this live, if you've been watching the entire live: how you move, daily habits, pain triggers, how you're building strength in general. If you want a general strategy of how I train people, I would check out the Smart Strength membership. That's how you say my name. Awesome. I love that, how you spell that. Check out the Smart Strength membership. If you're not a member already, you can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/smart strength. It is literally probably one of the best resources. I wish I had it when I was in pain and I was in the gym. I've always been in the gym exercising. And even as a personal trainer, it was hard for me to like wrap my brain around what I teach now at the early stage, because I just didn't understand it. So finding a strength training program that is for the sensitive back, so you know you're not going to go into the gym and cause pain. You might pick up or start one of these workouts. You're like, you know what, this exercise, even though it's coached and cued in a way for sensitive backs, it still doesn't feel right. That is money. That's a great, like, you're like cutting the line, right? It's like you going to One Life or LA Fitness and just like, I'm just gonna do what the machine says to do, or like what my friends tell me to do, or what I see someone doing. That's bad, because then you find out the hard way. If you're following a program for sensitive backs specifically, and then so you're already skipping the line of getting out of pain, which is, here's the line of getting out of pain. People who want to get in pain, you skip the line that way. Then while you're in line doing these workouts and following along these programs, you find an exercise that doesn't fit with you, and you find a way to modify it and change it through my help, through my coaching in the program. You get to skip the line even more because you're that more dialed in. Back pain requires you to go from here to here and focusing in on what actually matters. So being able to do that and finding a program that supports that is money. And I have other resources like Relief Academy. It covers all of those aspects of like movement, desensitizing your pain system, building smarter strength. So there's other options that we can talk about. Shoot me a message, email me, Facebook me, Instagram me, whatever you want to do. And I'm happy to share any resources that I have with you. Do you need to do diaphragmatic breathing all day or just during core stabilizing exercises? Diaphragmatic breathing depends on what you're doing. Like oftentimes when you are like in an environment where you're stressed out, like you're at work and you're like your shoulders start getting jacked up, and naturally due to stress, we start breathing like here, right? It's like we take these short, choppy breaths, and that's the issue. We got to stay away from that. So the diaphragmatic breathing is almost like, think of it as like a reset for your brain, resetting your system, your central nervous system. Let's just call it that. Your central nervous system, we're going to reset that. Diaphragmatic breathing is a way to okay, like I gotta like sit here and think about breathing into the base of my ribs, breathing into my butt. I always say breathe into your butt, breathe into your low back, breathe into your pain, and try to breathe the pain away, not in a sense of like, by doing this, it's going to take away my pain. It's a habit building strategy. You continually to do that, which will allow things to relax. So I wouldn't necessarily say to do it all day. God created your brain or your body and your lungs to work by themselves. You don't have to think about that at all. It's just going to happen. So that's awesome. I think, again, if you resort back to the stress, or resort back to the anxiety, the fear, we have to keep ourselves in check. And so if you find yourself strung out a lot, high tension, you're in chronic pain, and you're always thinking and worrying about that, diaphragmatic breathing is a great strategy you can do multiple times throughout the day. But I always caution people not to become obsessed with it. Don't become obsessed with it where like you turn this diaphragmatic breathing into like the way you should breathe, because it's a little bit different. Diaphragmatic breathing is a little bit different. Any more questions real quick? I appreciate y'all for staying on. I mean, it's awesome. I'm gonna try to keep doing, I do Hoff method in cold showers. It helps. 100%, Portia. That's a great, I'm actually messing around with like intermittent cold showers. I live in Florida, all right? So cold showers in Florida versus cold showers in like Maine, I think are different. So I can say, oh yeah, I crank it, and I take pride in myself. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, when I'm in the shower, right before it shuts off, it's that point before the water shuts off, that's where the cold's at on my showers. And it's cold, don't get me wrong, it's cold, but I think there's colder showers in other places. But talk to me in January, here in Florida, Central Florida in January. It gets cold, okay? I think my shower's gonna get a little bit colder. It's gonna challenge it. But yes, 100%. I'm gonna do a video on cold showers and like the current understanding of cold showers and as it pertains to pain, as it pertains to back pain specifically. So I do think you can categorize the effects of cold showers on chronic pain in general. It affects the body as a whole, which affects the body as a whole, affects back pain. Period. So if you're doing things like intermittent showers, hot, cold, or just straight cold showers, I do believe that there's a benefit. So keep doing that. In Canada. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have chronic VBAC stress. I have a long sitting job. Chronic back stress. I'm thinking you said chronic back stress. I wish someone could tell me how to just keep the comments like just rolling. You know, like maybe I'm just doing it wrong. I have chronic stress. I have a long sitting job. Yeah. Watch this live. Go back and watch this live from the beginning if you haven't. Jermeet? Hopefully I said that right. I hate pronouncing people's names wrong because people call me Richard my whole life. My name is William Richards. My whole life. Richard. Richard. Hey, Richard. Richard Williams. That's what I was called my whole life. Exercises that have me lying on the ground, like the dead bug, makes my back more sensitive. Are there any standing exercises with bands I can do instead? Yes, diaphragmatic breathing. I'm trying to catch up. Hips and knees bent 90 degrees. Yes, you can do that. On your stomach, on your back with your knees bent. Whatever you can get your body to relax and get wherever is tight, tense, and painful to just chill out and breathe through it, that's the best way to do it. Exercises that have me lying on the ground like the dead bug makes my back more sensitive. Are there any standing exercises with bands I can do instead? The Palef press is a good standing core exercise. If I was working with you one-on-one, I would really dive into like what's happening when you're on your back doing the dead bug, because the dead bug is a great exercise. But I will say that being on your back and having a back sensitivity is risky. Like you have to really either dial in on the reason why it's happening, As in, are you trying to flatten your back into the ground, or are you trying to find what's neutral to you, the pain-free neutral point, and then bracing around that and then doing the dead bug? Two different things. One will cause pain, one will not cause pain. Already doing the paylift press. So what's another standing? Up chops or down chops can be good. Like basically like you have a band or a cable attached to something low and you're coming up and across the body, and then vice versa. You're coming down from something and across the body. Other standing core exercises. There's some ones that I do that are I don't really have a name for them. Neutral and flat. So it sounds like you just have an overall general sensitivity, which would require more than just, what is a pellet press? YouTube that. I really can't demo it now. I've tried both neutral and flat. So if being on your back is a sensitive situation, then it's just a sensitive situation. Again, you can dive into different, like tweaking it and tuning it, but I'm just gonna assume that you've done everything that I would suggest you do after asking a few questions. From there, it's just, again, playing with the exercises that you're doing standing. There's some, like I was saying earlier, there's some exercises that like attaching this is confusing. I don't have a name for it, but it's one of the exercises in my advanced core library. So if you are a Core Essentials student and you got the pro level, you got access to the advanced core training library, and this exercise is in that library. If this person who I'm talking to, I didn't catch your name. Sup, I'm Satan. If that's Satan, if that's truly you. No, but I would check out Core Essentials. It's an entire course, 14-week course where it goes, it's a rebuilding your core course, basically. And it's not just core strength. It's not just core strength, it's core coordination. It's learning how to position your body to breathe, to build strength in your trunk, stability, endurance, as it pertains to a sensitive low back. So I would check out that. You can get that. You can look at the information on that. I'll have to leave a comment. I'll have to leave a link in the comment, or just email me. I don't like to, because these courses are kind of specific. So if you want to email me, fitnessforbackpain@gmail.com. I'm happy to share a link to Core Essentials and what that is. You can check it out. There's lots of core exercises in there that are not just on your back. But you're gonna have to open up a little bit of variety, because you're limited as far as what you can do standing, right? There's only so much you can do standing when it comes to core training. So that's it. 40 minutes. No one's gonna rewatch this whole thing. I appreciate y'all showing up. I love chatting with you guys. I'm gonna try to do this more often. So the more people who show up, the more questions y'all post, I can be here all day. I'm gonna try to do a timestamp to this video so you can kind of go back and maybe chop things up and catch up in different areas. But appreciate y'all watching. I'm gonna try to be back next week on Wednesday. If there's a topic you wanna see us to chat about, let me know. Leave it in the comment section. The more you guys comment, the more I'm engaged, the more I want to see, the more I see you guys wanting to do this, the more I'm gonna be motivated to do this. So I love this kind of stuff, and we'll keep doing it. So love you guys. Y'all have an awesome